despite what a lot of people say. They say, oh, look, a median income can't afford a property in Las Vegas. And they say that's why it's not going to go up anymore. But then the counter is always, yes, San Francisco, are you kidding? Like median income, you're nowhere near it. Like that's not the ceiling, right?
This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Kellen Kautzman on the line. He's an SEO expert and also dabbles in real estate, which makes the combination very interesting to me. I think you're going to find it interesting as well. He's written a book called Advertising Redefined. He's going to be giving away a chapter of that book today, and we'll let you know how to get to it in a minute. Hey, Kellen, how you doing today?
How's life, Mitch? I'm good.
Hey, I understand you're over there in fun Las Vegas, huh?
Yes, sir. Good times. Looking out over the strip as we speak.
Oh, wow. You got it going on. So how long you been in Las Vegas?
We are coming up on 8 years, raising a family here, which has its own trials and tribulations, but so far so good. We're actually in a suburb, Henderson, Nevada. If you've never been here before, come check us out. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. That place, I love it, but it makes me very tired.
You know what? I think you are in good company.
I always come back from that place like, wow, I went to vacation in Vegas. Now I need a vacation.
From your vacation. Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about your book, Advertising Redefined.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to get some gigs as a keynote speaker every now and then. And so I kept finding myself in a room full of, 100, 150 people. And I said to myself, look, if I don't write a book, I'm just, I'm leaving money on the table and it's time. So my kids were 2 and 3 at the time, believe it or not. And I would shut the door to their room and I would sneak away, get myself some chamomile tea. And that was the mental trigger I needed to sit back in front of the computer, which I had no interest in doing. And it took about 6 months just to get, about 100 pages down. And then I learned the joys of editing. I actually paid my brother, Mitch. Listeners, never pay a relative to edit your book. It is a terrible mistake. He wrote things like, all red, all caps. He would say things like, remove this chapter, it's bad. And he was right. It was bad.
But you can't take it from your brother.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't very, he just let me know. So we ran through tons of revisions. It's a pretty good book. I'm pretty proud of it. It doesn't matter what your skill level is. This isn't a tutorial on how to do SEO. This is a way to reframe how advertising has changed and a little kick in the butt to kind of get you doing what you need to be doing. For example, Mitch right here, myself included, this podcast, every single word we're saying right here, if we upload this to YouTube, is auto-captioned in about 3 minutes once it's uploaded. And what that means is if you want to rank in Google, if you want to get some attention from the search engines, understand that every word we say on this podcast is additional content. So you can say it in 2018 or you can write it, same difference.
Wow. See, I'm learning something already. You're going to have to send me a bill.
Yes, sir. Invoices in the mail.
I had the same experience, man. Writing a book is probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And then I went and did it 2 more times. And I'm about to do it time 4 and 5. Yeah. I don't know why I'm a glutton for punishment, but there's one thing. It's satisfying to get it out and get it done. And people been asking me these questions. How do you do this or how do you do that? And I can say, you know what? I took a lot of time at one time out of my life and I wrote down exactly how I do it. And you can find it there. And I can't say it any better than I did that one time. That's what I like about having a book or an audio lesson down pat. So yeah. The people that we're talking to, they're mostly entrepreneurs. They're probably a huge segment are involved in real estate investing or lending or something to do with real estate. So how does SEO apply to the real estate business? And I guess we'll start with finding motivated sellers. Do you use the internet to find motivated sellers yourself?
Yeah. So the world of real estate, especially realtors and loan officers, those sorts of folks, and SEO are basically diametrically opposed. I've spoken at Las Vegas Real Estate Expo. I've talked to tons of realtors, loan experts, that sort of folks, and investors. And for some reason, 2018 just hasn't caught up. The cost for AdWords per click for like a realtor, given the massive amount. You throw a stick in Las Vegas, you're going to hit a realtor. It doesn't work. The only person in my experience, so this is kind of a cautionary tale for folks that are thinking, oh, maybe I should spend some money. In my experience, by and large, it's a failure by industry because of the amount of competition. And we'll get into, investors and how that can play a role. But ultimately, if you're a real estate agent, there's a gentleman by the name of Brian Lebo who is absolutely killing it. He's doing something similar to what you're doing, Mitch, which is coming out with consistent content, video content. And if you want a great example of how to build a following online, he's got it down. He's got about 4,000 subscribers, but they're all local Las Vegas folks. And all he does is makes a video once per month. It's semi-good, well-produced. It's not the most beautiful video on planet Earth. Doesn't need to be. But he goes over median home price. He goes over basic Las Vegas stats. And I'm hooked. I subscribed. I'm all in. So from the realtor's perspective, there's that. Loan officer, similar thing. You got to get onto Facebook Live, video, that sort of thing. When it comes to investors in SEO, I don't see much of a connection. I don't see much of a correlation. If an investor were to put a site out and say, hey, I'm an amazing investor, and they want to go down Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki path of like, hey, come let me teach you how to become an investor, sure. There are thousands of people doing that. A lot of charlatans, I have to say. I think a lot of the people in that space are just trying to take your money. But if you were looking to get into the training world, then sure, we can make an SEO argument for that. But I mean, Zillow, my goodness. I mean, 10 years ago, we couldn't judge people based on what we think the value of their home is because we'd have to guess. But now we can just get somebody's address and instantly know how much their home is worth. And I think that is the crux of Zillow, is just judging other people because we can look at the price of their home.
Well, that's a take. I mean, I'm looking at the prices so I can figure out what I need to offer, but I find Zillow's not all that accurate. And when I advertise my home for sale, they have the audacity to tell me whether it's overpriced or underpriced or whatever, and they don't have a clue. So it's very bad.
You're absolutely right about that. So we liquidated a lot. And Mitch, where are you at? What city are you in?
San Antonio, Texas.
Texas. Okay. Well, how's San Antonio doing?
I mean, it's in a boom like everybody else. It's not quite as hot as it was. It's, the more expensive houses are slowing down. Houses aren't getting multiple offers in 24 hours now over the asking price. So it's starting to slow down a little bit, but it's still a seller's market. Yeah,
we're in the same space. And a lot of people, because Las Vegas hasn't hit that peak price, that's what people tend to talk about. It's like, oh, we're not at peak price yet. We're not at peak price yet. That tends to be the narrative. Here, we're also talking about marijuana legalization, which for a lot of states, that aren't based on tourism, it may or may not have an effect. Here, there are a lot of people that are coming to Las Vegas to smoke weed, go to the Strip, go see a Cirque show. It's affecting the local economy. And so that's part of the process that we have to understand. And then the Raiders are coming, and the Golden Knights had one of the most amazing seasons of hockey we've ever seen. And so Las Vegas is interesting for a few reasons. But all of that said, I still can't bring myself to sell a property we have in North Las Vegas because one time, not too long ago, I was golfing at the Revere Golf Course, beautiful golf course. And there's this gentleman there that we golfed with who was chatting about private jet gas cost. And I said, do you want to have lunch? I'll buy you lunch. So we go and we have lunch. And it turns out he owned the largest title company in Montana during his day. He was retired. And I said, okay, let's synthesize some wisdom. Let's let's little bite-sized wisdom chunks. What do you think? He said two things. One, long hold, like 30-year, 40-year hold. And that made a lot of sense to me because, take a look at Manhattan prices 40 years ago, 50 years ago. It's crazy what real estate can do over that amount of time. I'm a millennial. I'm 34 years old. So there's a lot of time yet for me to hold. And the second thing he said to me that stuck was, don't be greedy. And so entrepreneurs, business owner folks out there, what he meant by that is when it comes to paying your employees, pay better than the other folks if you can. And so those are the two pieces of the puzzle I took from that particular gentleman. But that's a long-winded way of saying I'm holding, even though I'm not entirely sure that's the best thing to do.
Well, I guess if you can hold it long enough, right? I mean, I bought some storages and started accumulating storage facilities in 1990s. And, I bought a corner out there for $17,000 owner finance to 2,500 down.
Yeah.
The corner dirt alone now is worth $500,000. So, I mean.
Oh, good job, Mitch.
So,
hey, that's great. That's great.
So I understand what he's saying long-term hold. You also have to figure out how to be passive in that situation, because you get some other people to help you with whatever the strife is with that property that you're holding, because staying in the middle of it for a long, long time will burn you out and make you want to sell it, and then you won't have it for a long time. So when you're buying in Vegas, and Vegas is one of those markets, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to have really high peaks and really low valleys. San Antonio, we're just steady as you go. 4, 6, 8% maybe. We just go on. We never really explode, so there's no place to crash from. But Vegas crash in a heartbeat.
Yes, sir. That's the fear. And and every time I fly in, I just flew back from Chicago, and I'm looking at the rings around Lake Mead, and I'm going, it's just like a bathtub that's slowly draining. And obviously, my 2-second visual of Lake Mead and the actual reality of the water that we have are two different things. But in the back of my mind, I go, our solution in Vegas was to build another straw. We built a gigantic new straw to suck water from Lake Mead. That's our brilliant new solution to solve our water problems. And like a multi-billion-dollar straw. So I don't know. So that plays in too. So I think short term, I'm excited because, again, marijuana legalization, Raiders Stadium, Golden Knights kicking butt, unemployment's low, the national economy's kicking butt. People come to Vegas when that's the case. And, but, oh man, in the same breath, I just think to myself, am I being really greedy? Am I being too greedy? And if it drops, I will absolutely be kicking myself. So it's somewhere in between, but I'm definitely not buying. I'll tell you that much.
Well, but different cities and different cultures, they have their boundaries, which causes things to go up. There's the ocean for California and mountains and all that. Your boundary is water, right? They just get past to a certain point, so you can't get any water if you move past this line. Is that what happens?
Mitch, you are really smart. And that is exactly something that a real estate friend of mine, Zach Walker-Lieb, he's incredible. He's the realtor for the Golden Knights, believe it or not. So he's doing real well. Yes. So it is possible that despite what a lot of people say, they say, oh, look, a median income can't afford a property in Las Vegas. And they say that's why it's not going to go up anymore. But then the counter is always, yes, San Francisco, are you kidding? Like median income, you're nowhere near it. Like that's not the ceiling, right? And so with Vegas, it is water, but it's scarier than the ocean. The ocean's beautiful. It's a beautiful, nice boundary. Scary water problems, not as beautiful, So, all right, we'll see what we can do. And then on top of that, throw solar. I mean, holy smokes. I forget what it's called, Moore's Law, where every few years the efficiency doubles. That that whole thing. Man, it is going to get really gnarly here quick. We're going to be producing a ton of energy. People are really excited about Las Vegas for solar.
Really? So is there any play there to just buy the land that's right on the other side of the line they drew in the sand that says you can't get water? I imagine the price just drops dramatically for that 1 inch. You know what I mean?
Right.
1 inch too far, and the price of that land is probably nothing.
Right.
And maybe you should buy it all up all along the lines, because if they ever move, you'll be right there. It'll have to move over you. So buy everything on the line, just outside.
Yeah, well, you've been doing this for a couple of years, I can tell. This is smart.
And then invent water.
Dihydrogen oxide coming right up.
I mean, invent some water. I mean, figure out a way to get some more water, because then you'll have a real incentive. It's what we call the carrots in the right place. We'll get everyone to own a bunch of cheap land just on the other side of the line, and then we'll get a think tank going like, how do we solve the water problem here? Yeah. And then because it's going to pay, people will figure it out.
Yeah, I love that idea. It reminds me of a friend of mine was into tax deed auction stuff. And we ended up maybe like $4,000 or $5,000 we spent, and we have 4.25 acres in Kern County. And Google has some investment in solar in Kern. They're interested. And so we're holding that. But me and some friends of mine have been chatting about putting solar panels down to mine cryptocurrency. So this relates to real estate because ultimately, these machines suck up a ton of energy. And so savvy folks nowadays understand that, like Washington, Western Washington, they've had to legislate because their electricity is so cheap that every cryptocurrency company in the planet is moving to Wenatchee or something. And they're just plugging it all in because it's free, because the major cost of mining cryptocurrency is the electricity. And so if we can leverage solar either in Kern County in the land we have or here in Vegas and basically mine electricity free, then it becomes really lucrative. And so,
you just never know where the money is, right? You just keep following your nose, and God bless America, because you can make money anything. Now we're making money capturing heat from the sun and selling it to people who are printing money.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is the crazy, and people cannot stop talking about blockchain. So we'll see where it goes. That's fine. But from a real estate perspective, if you're buying and selling real estate, you got to understand the cost of electricity is going to start playing in big time. Like we were at one of those, like a Regis. You know what a Regis is? You walk in and there's all those little offices, those sorts of things. We were looking at like Jimmy rigging a Regis with like a 240, like plug in your dryer socket of electricity because they give free electricity. And we told them, we are going to mine cryptocurrency in this space. Is that fine with you? They're like, totally fine, no big deal. Because we're talking to a salesperson who doesn't understand the corporate ramifications of like what this would mean for this little Regis. But I'm telling you, if you've got cheap electricity, you're going to be attracting a lot of folks that are looking at that space. And the difference between residential electricity cost and commercial is staggering. It's way cheaper on the commercial side, at least here in Vegas, which is why we moved into the commercial unit.
Wow. So they're not running out any more land. They're just running out of land with water and electricity. So maybe there's a place. I mean, I like that. They say wealth comes from chaos. So you find out where the problem is, and then you go over there to the problem, and you walk around it a whole bunch of times scratching your head, and you figure out something to do about it. And if your idea is good, then you win. And if you don't come up with an idea, or your idea is no good, then you lose. So
that is absolutely right. It's funny because one of my business partners in this crypto thing we're doing is an academic, and I'm kind of introducing him to the world of business a little bit. And I told him, look, man, the most fun we're ever going to have is right now in the idea phase. That is the most fun this is going to be. And then it's going to get ugly. It's going to test our friendship. It is going to be challenging, because we're going to be solving complex, difficult problems that no one else wants to solve. And here we go. And we're off to the races. And yeah, it's tough. It's hard. But you're exactly right. I mean, if you can dive in head first and start solving these problems that no one else wants to solve. I was called an associate educator back in the day, and I was throwing like a piece of garbage into the trash, and this Colombian friend of mine said, I missed the trash can. She says, el perezoso trabaja doble. And I'm like, I had to translate in my head. It means the lazy person works twice as hard.
Ah, I like that. I'm not sure I'm going to repeat it in Spanish, but I'll keep the English version.
Yeah. If you're lazy, you work twice as hard. And she's right.
So when I was doing SEO for motivated sellers, I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
But what I found out was, or what my experience was, and it could be wrong, it could be all wrong someplace else, or maybe I was doing something wrong, but I was paying an extraordinary amount for those leads because, buy your house fast or whatever, those keywords are really expensive because there's a lot of money in that business, and there's a lot of competition right now with a guru on every corner, with flip something on every station. Everybody's a house flipper for at least a year till they figure out that it's work. And then so what happened was I paid a lot of money, probably close to $20,000, $25,000. I mean, over a period of time.
Oh yeah.
To get ranked like number 3 on the Google search engine there for my keywords, which was to buy houses from people who wanted to sell for cash, basically.
That's right. Yep.
And what I found out was, the people, the sellers that went to the internet to sell their house didn't just call me. They called everybody on the page 1 and page 2 and told them to come out and give them an offer. Because I would be going into the house, there'd be 3 guys coming out. And when I was coming out, there's 3 guys going in. You know, and I thought, all I did was pay to get in a bidding war. So it didn't work for me. Now, I bought a couple of houses and people were paying. One thing it did show me that people were paying stupid prices for these houses. I mean, when I found out what my offer was compared to what won the offers, it's like, my God, I got to find some houses and sell them to these dumbasses.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't help me find the houses. So I cut back. Now, luckily, I bought 2 or 3 houses that made me whole and made me a little bit. But it like, for the amount of moving parts, and I was looking at so many houses to buy one house, it's like, this isn't working. I need to go someplace where there isn't anyone else. And so I'm struggling and being successful at finding ways and places to go. How do you say it? I found ponds to fish in that there's hardly anyone at, if there is anyone but me there.
Right.
So I don't push those things out except to like one-on-one students in the region that, you know, and we're all spread out. So like I would tell one of my students in, you know, Dallas, or I tell one in Houston and just tell them, you can't go say this, put it on a billboard or go to the real estate club and start talking about this because it'll ruin the spot. It can't hold a lot of people. You know, maybe at that spot will get you 10 houses a year. You go putting it on a billboard, you'll be fighting to see if you get 1 out of the 10, you know, you even do. So part of the secret for me was to go places that people weren't. And so I shied away from trying to buy houses on the internet. And the only thing I really have a home buying website for, cash4houses.net, which is probably one of the worst names ever, but I invented it so long ago I didn't know what I was doing. Cash4houses.net. It's just for credibility reasons, you know, like at least I'm there, you know, and I suppose I get a couple of houses a year out of it, but my house selling business does a lot of business on the internet because I sell houses with owner financing, and there used to be nobody now there's doing it, but I'm like one of the few places to go. If you can't get a loan and you just want to buy a house and you want the seller to finance the house to you, I'm your guy. And so I organically went to the top of that pretty quick because there wasn't much competition for it, and I didn't even have to buy any keywords at all. You know what I mean? That I was just there because I was really not that many people in the space. And
yeah, I absolutely love that. Okay, so if I understand correctly, you have on the cash buying side, it's just pretty much impossible because you queue up, you and 20 other people, to, even if you rank well, to buy these homes for a cheap price, and people are just paying exorbitant prices. And on the owner side, because you can do owner financing, there's a small pool of people that are looking for loans, can't get them, looking for the owner financing, and then you can reach those folks via Google because you rank well.
Well, you know, yeah, so I invented this software called livecom.com, livecomm.com. And so when I sell my houses, I put all these bandit signs around the neighborhood, and I put one in the front yard. And these livecom numbers capture the incoming caller's cell phone number. And then it also has pre-scheduling features where I can send every first it goes out. Like if you're no longer interested in an owner financed home, you know, please text stop to be removed from this. And it's all tied into my website because whenever I get a new piece of inventory, I open a page with that new house with everything about it, and then I snag the URL, and then I send out a text. And get this, right now I have 8,538 people that have called my signs that have not opted out, even though I send them a month, will you please go? So now I'm using the Livecom mass, and I can mass text, you know, to those.
Absolutely.
So I'm mass texting every time I have a house to 8,500 people to say, go to my website and check out this new house I have on 123 Main Street or whatever. And you know, that URL is really long URL for my website when I copy it and paste it in the text. But my site automatically shortens the URL before it sends it out because you really want to send text in like the same idea of tweets. It need to be 140 characters or less, or 200 or whatever it is now, because you don't want different phone companies break the message at different points. So it needs to be a short message with a link to get it over to the website where you can recite, the Holy Bible if you want to, So, right. So I've been using that Facebook Marketplace. My selling website, my Facebook Marketplace, and LiveCom, and I'm down to like 9 days on the market.
Oh, that's beautiful.
My down payments are up to 12% of down payment, which is huge when you're seller financing houses. And that's kind of how I've been using technology. But I wanted to say that I really think that these phone numbers, and you could pick a company. I'm not the only company in the world that has a cell phone capture thing. I just tailored it towards real estate and being able to do what I want to do, and kind of some specifics. You also can forward it to recordings, where, because if you have 10 houses for sale and you have 20 houses around each, or 20 signs around each house, and then a sign in the front yard, that's like 210 signs. And there'd be 100 people calling you on the weekend, most of them tire kickers, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Price, and then you tell them the whole thing about it. It says, okay, well, I don't know when I'll be able to save any money, or I'm probably going to buy a house in 2 years from now. It's like, what? I just wasted all this energy. So I started making the recordings that told them every single thing about the house. Matter of fact, ask me a question about the house that I don't have on there. I'll add that question. I'll add the answer on there. And then at the end, I would tell them, if you think this is the house for you, this is what you need to do. You need to get in your car. You need to drive to 123 Main Street. You need to get out and walk around, check out the front yard, check out the backyard, look through the windows, check out the neighborhood. And if this is still the house for you, and you definitely have X amount for a down payment or more, then go around to the back and call the red phone number in the back window. Now I was collecting all their phone numbers, but I was only having to talk to the ones that were serious enough to drive to. And they already had seen the house. They just hadn't seen the inside, although they had seen some of the inside if they looked through the windows. So these guys were pretty committed. So my salesmen started being a lot politer, a lot more polite, and a lot nicer.
Because they don't have to deal with the tire kickers.
Yeah, because the previous way, by noon, they'd already answered 25 phone calls, and they were just aggravated as hell and didn't want to. In the new way, there's only 8 phone calls going to come today. And
right. They're all super warm, fantastic, driven down. That's brilliant.
So then I added this other feature just because, and the reason I'm saying this is I think you can use this in your SEO, or you can help people when you're helping people do things. I think this kind of tactic needs to be into your website. And I'll explain some other ways I'm using it. But so then I had this feature called Instant Call Connect. So if a house wasn't moving, they were getting the calls, but it wasn't moving. No one was taking any action. But you could turn on Instant Call Connect, and whenever someone started listening to that recording, you could name these phone numbers. I always name them 123 Main Street or 567 Jones Street.
Sure.
So when they would call the recording, I would get a text, or my salesman would get a text going, someone from this number right here is listening to the recording of 123 Main Street right now. So like they're engaged. Do you want to call them? Give them about 4 minutes to get through the recording. Then they just got off the phone. You can call them. And that's when you find out that the neighbor's coming over and telling everybody that there was a suicide committed in the front living room or something. Right. And then you know what the problem is.
There's a ghost.
I've had that a lot, as a matter of fact. And so, but also when you send out postcards, you should have 2 numbers on a postcard. You should have 2 numbers on your websites. One of those numbers should say free recorded message or something, anything enticing to get them to click on it. Because if they call it from your cell phone, you just got a lead that you can follow up on. And so in my postcards, I always put, to get a hold of a live person right now, but I also put for a free recorded message. Because when someone gets a postcard to buy a house, they're probably got 25 other postcards. They're probably going to come in. Just imagine, they don't always come in at the most perfect time to call anybody. Let's say the guy comes in at 12:30 midnight from bowling. He's half lit. He's going to sit down and smoke his last cigarette. He's sitting at the coffee table. His wife's brought the mail in. There's 25 postcards of people wanting to buy houses. He's not calling your office at 12:30. He's not. But there's this postcard that says free recorded message.
Right.
the chances are. So this is the kind of marketing ideas that I try to get to people. And the main thing about postcards anyways, just to sum it all up, it's the return postcards. I send out 10,000 postcards to find out the ones that didn't ever make it to anybody. Those are the guys I'm hunting down, because when I find them, there isn't anybody there. There's no postcards on their table, because if mine got returned, so did theirs, everybody else's postcard. Now the hunt is on. Mail out 10,000 postcards, then get 300 returns, then the job starts.
Yeah, that sounds, you're talking about the buying side now, right? We're sending out the postcards.
On the buying side.
The buying side, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. While you were chatting about on the selling side, I was thinking about Google call-only ads. So having a sign out in front that collects phone numbers is fantastic. I wonder what the cost to you for that is almost nothing, which is great. Google does offer something where instead of just standard pay-per-click, this might be helpful on the buying or selling side. What you can do is choose the call only option. So it appears on their mobile phone only. And the only thing they can do is call or not call. And if they call, they charge you. If they don't call, they don't charge you. So on the buying side, running a Google call only ad makes sense to me. On the selling side, not so much. On the selling side, I think you can put a sign out. You can get tons of people calling you. That seems easier. On the buying side, getting that person to give you a ring seems more challenging. So I would run a call only ad on the buying side. Owner will carry financing, great deals in San Antonio, that sort of thing. And then you can, if you want to, have it go from 9 to 5 so that your sales folks are picking it up and they're having a real conversation with a real person, which is probably ideal. But you can also run it 24/7 and do your recorded message option too.
Wow, that's very interesting. See, that's why I have this podcast, Kellen, because you think I learn anything interviewing like 300 smart people? I do, man. I learn a ton. So when did this Google call only thing? I never heard of it before. Is it new, or am I just late to the bus?
It's tough because it doesn't always generate phone calls. And if you're a digital agency, you basically have to show that something's happening, right? So if you give me $500 and we're running call only ads, and at the end of a month, I can say we generated no calls, but we also spent no money. To you, it's like, well, that's not helpful for me at all. So what a lot of internet marketers will do is they'll run pay-per-click ads where we can say, oh, you got 312 clicks. And then we can try to measure conversions from there. That's the standard. With call-only ads, it just makes a lot of sense to me. I think the end result of almost every click on the internet is for a call for most businesses, unless you're selling software, you're doing something else.
So would it make sense to like run some kind of pay-per-click thing and then retarget with call-only ads?
Retargeting with call-only ads. I've never heard of those.
Retargeting the people that were interested, that once upon a time clicked, and they didn't call you though. So now you're just retargeting to the people that it's like a higher class, a stronger class.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, because you're very good at getting the funnel to be a more and more concentrated, warmer and warmer lead. So I can see where your head's going already. I would have to chat with my pay-per-click director, Derek, Mr. Prosser, to see if we could retarget pay-per-click call-only ads. The answer could be yes, could be no. I honestly don't know if you can retarget because with AdWords, standard pay-per-click, you're picking your keyword, you're picking, whether it's broad match or that sort of thing. And then I know once they enter into the website, you can put a cookie in and then retarget from there. So perhaps, that's something I'll take a look into.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be effective or not, but at least you're retargeting with a call-only ad, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and you stop doing it. But like you said, you didn't spend any money, but it might really work.
Yeah, and it could work, retargeting and not retargeting. But I like the two ideas, and then they're not cheap. $4 or $5 is not out of the question, but for a phone call, that's not bad.
No, I think especially if they wanted to sell their house, that would be amazing. But again, how do they? I don't know. I guess you could do retargeting when they came to your website. If they came to your cashforhouses.net website, you could retarget them then with call-only ads.
It's possible. I know you can definitely do banner ads. You can retarget with banner ads. You can retarget via Facebook, but they tend to be image-based ads. Like, hey, like whatever, we buy houses, image-based ads. But yeah, I can definitely take a look into that. And then if someone is calling in, what you say on that ad can kind of qualify the kind of folks you get. So you could say, hey, get a better idea of what your home is worth than your estimate, right? That could be a thing. Like you could get people calling in for that, but that's pretty cold. Or you could make the language like selling now, or just whatever it happens to be. You can really start to hone in that pond, as you say, into something more to your liking.
Yeah. So we're talking to Kellen Kautzman. He's the author of the book Advertising Redefined. It is not an SEO how-to book. It's just how it's a book about how advertising's changed and progressed or morphed, whatever. I think sometimes it might have digressed, but nonetheless, because it used to be about, like, I don't know, meeting people. Now they want to send you to a recording, So you're giving away a chapter of that book, right? So tell us about that chapter that you're giving away, and then I'll tell the audience how to go get that chapter.
Yeah. So chapter 1, everybody's doing it. Advertising Redefined. Like I mentioned earlier, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this book. Best compliment I got was from someone I've never met, who said, "I'm on chapter 3. The tears are real, and I never thought a book about SEO would be so moving." And so this is not just a standard business book, people. It's I'm proud of it. So the link is going to be on Mitch's site, if I believe correctly. Yep.
Go to reInvestorSummit.com/Kellen, K-E-L-L-E-N. And it's Kellen Kautzman. It's Kautzman. Because if you want to talk to this man about your SEO efforts or your online marketing efforts, we're going to have connections there for that too, and all the different links. As a matter of fact, Kellen, that's an evergreen show notes. If you're ever speaking somewhere, you want to post something up there, you just call my people and they'll get it up there. And if something's out of date, we can call us and let us know, and we'll take it down. If it's not obvious, we try to take them down when they're past their dates. But love to have your stuff on there. Any maybe final words you'd like to say to people who are struggling with online marketing?
The 2019, as we move into 2019, it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and video. The written word isn't going to go anywhere, but holy smokes, have we made leaps and bounds in video. If you upload to YouTube, every word you say is additional content. Take those YouTube videos, embed them onto your website. That is the crux of content in 2019. So if you're afraid of getting in front of the camera, if you still haven't made that leap, you care about what you look like. You care about what you sound like. Most folks do not care. You're going to be a lot more self-conscious about it than anyone else is going to be. And it's like anything else. You got to practice. You got to get used to it. You might perspire a bit, might get nervous. It's all good. Push that video content forward because it's almost necessary here at the end of 2018. Yeah,
my only addition to that is be yourself and be real, please, because people see right through all the other stuff. So this is, I'd like to thank the entire audience and everybody out there listening for stopping by to get you some Kellen Kautzman. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast, and I guess we're out of here. Bye, Kellen.
See you, Mitch.